You have a unique story. You have something to share with the world. So when you can know how to get into those places and in front of the audience you want to reach, oh my gosh, just imagine how much that it can impact what you're doing.
Welcome to the Shine Strategy Podcast, where entrepreneurs, visionaries, and business owners are getting visible and changing the world. I'm your host, Heather Burgett, an award-winning publicist, entrepreneur, and business mentor. Today's show is sponsored by PR Stars. For more inspiration and Shine strategies, head over to shineinsiders.com now for my free masterclass so that you too can get visible and go from local to global.
Hello, Shine Insiders. Oh my gosh, we did it. This is the last episode of the first season of the Shine Strategy Podcast. I wasn't sure if I was going to do seasons, but after realizing how much work goes into this show, the time, the money, the effort, I said, you know what, let's do a season. We've learned a lot. We're going to come back in 2020, and it's actually been a huge learning curve, and I'm flattered and flabbergasted at the same time to see that we have 55-star ratings at the time of this recording. And to some of you that might not sound like a lot, but it's tough to get people to rate your podcast and review your podcast. So I have seen a lot of podcasts out there that have almost no ratings and reviews. And the really popular ones and ones by celebrities or very high profile people, you know, some of those only have, I don't know, a few hundred, 300, 400, 500, 700. So I feel pretty proud of the fact that we managed to get a bit of traction this season. I feel like we really had an all-star cast, so to speak, of guests. We launched with an Oscar winner, a presidential candidate, and New York Times bestselling author. We had an iconic comedian, Bob Saget. We've had TV star from The Bachelor. We had some top coaches, some of the biggest names out there that are doing an incredible job helping people in the world with their messages and their brands and their platforms, helping people take their lives to the next level. So, of course, this show being all about the Shine strategy, it is all about shining your light, who you are, what you're doing in the world. And my intention was to create not just inspiration for you, but to also give you examples and strategies of how other people are out there capturing the global spotlight, how they've done it, sharing their adventures and challenges and obstacles they've faced and how they've overcome them, so that you can also know how this stuff can work for you as well. So inspiration is great, that's one thing, but then the other side of it is the actual tangible side of doing the work and doing the things that bring it all together and get you the results that you're looking for. And typically if you're listening and you're in my community, it's because you do have a heart-centered, purpose-driven cause, whether it's a business or project or a nonprofit, something you're putting into the world. Maybe it's your talent as an artist or an actor. Doing that, it takes a certain formula to get it out there. So that's what I've been teaching and helping people with in my PR Stars program. So we're having people in there have actual success stories and results, and it's working. So with the podcast, it's just another resource for people to see how this stuff works. But I gotta say, it's pretty funny because there are still people in my community, people like my mom, my almost 98-year-old friend Jermaine, that are still so confused by what is it that I do? What is PR? So I'm not as surprised about a 98-year-old person being a little confused by that. But my mom has, been watching me do this stuff for over 20 years. And those of you in my community that are engaging and involved with, all of my videos and the free trainings and things that I am doing, still some of you are a little confused. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to take the opportunity today as we're kind of wrapping up the year, heading into a new decade, to just talk a little bit more about how this stuff can specifically apply to you so that it's not vague or confusing. I want to connect the dots and the lines, because really at the end of the day, if you don't understand what this stuff is and how it works and how it can help you, then, you're not going to be implementing these strategies or tactics that we're giving to you here. So let's see, where can we start? I guess I would say that PR, publicity, visibility, marketing and PR side of things, it can be this sort of magical element that takes everything to the next level for you and your business. And it is almost kind of like this panacea that, when I talk about PR, it's like, yes, it can take your life, your career, your profile, your income, everything to the next level. But then it sounds like a cure-all, and people, probably are going, well, how? That's, the skeptic, the inner skeptic comes up. So if I can explain it a little better and maybe a little more detailed way, maybe that will help people understand how that can happen. So, if you do want to stay in the shadows or behind the scenes, then it really isn't for you. But the people that I find that are gravitating towards me and this show and my community, they're resonating with it. It's because of the vibration that they're at, which is that they have something that they really want to confidently put out there into the world. They want to be in front of their business, their life, shining who they are into the world. So again, because PR is this sort of mysterious, magical, mystical thing, people often ask me for more specifics on how it works. So that is why I did create my PR Star formula. It's my signature formula after 20 years of doing this stuff, how I recognized there was a pattern and a formula for each client, even though every single PR campaign is unique, because there's no two things are ever exactly alike. Even if you're doing a PR campaign for 2 movies, well, the steps within that campaign might be the same, but within that, there's so much variation because you're always customizing towards the project. So with that being said, we can create a customized PR strategy and use a formula that will specifically help you with your goals. And I would say the most common goals that people want, that I'm finding, as they come to me over the years, it's always sort of been, I'd say the number one is getting into the mainstream media, to get into the public eye, reaching the public at large. So that's reaching a wider, if not a global audience. How do I find my audience, my people? So we do that through the mainstream media. And media relations, that's one big way. And that's usually what people think of when they think of PR. That's one big thing that we can do. So what does that mean? Well, think about your favorite magazine, your favorite TV show. These are places you can be appearing. You have a unique story. You have something to share with the world. So when you can know how to get into those places and in front of the audience you want to reach, oh my gosh, just imagine how much that it can impact what you're doing, your business, your product, your service, whatever you're putting into the world. And so really, in this day and age, all it really takes is some great online coverage to get that global awareness and attention. If you've been listening to this show, you've heard me talk about helpareporter.com. I've turned countless people onto that site. It's a free platform, and I have a free pitch template that I give out for that to help people start doing some PR, exercising their PR muscles, getting some results. Now that is reactive PR, which means you're responding to a query from a press person. They're looking for something specific and you are giving it. You're responding saying, here it is. This is the answer. And then that's how people get featured in those articles. Now, that's, like I say, it's a gateway drug, and that's really not where the big picture comes in. It's really just one tiny piece of the bigger picture, but I find it's a great way for people to build their confidence, start building confidence as an expert, start getting themselves out there, getting their name out there. And there are some huge wins that can come from that, but it's not everything. So, again, when you think of PR, people so often think of this direct line of like, okay, getting in a magazine, done. That's my PR. But it's so much bigger than that. It's so much more than that. And it's really about being proactive about what you're putting out into the world, who you are, your image, your reputation. And it's getting in front of the conversation. How do you do that? Well, how are you packaging and presenting yourself to the world? What's on your website? What's in your materials that you're putting out there, from your social media to digital marketing? All of the areas of anything you're putting out into the world, does that reflect who you are? So this is really about, again, leading the conversation, being intentional about who you are and what you're doing in the world, your vision, your goals. And how can we do that? Well, we illuminate your story, right? You have a unique story. Whatever you've been through until now is what makes you different from any other person in the world. Your life and your work experience and how we position, package, and present you to the world is everything. So while there are actual steps to take, and those are what I teach in my inner circle, within that there is so much customization to you, your own story, your own personal brand. And that's what I think I really wanted to emphasize today, because if you've been listening to this show for the whole season and you're still not sure how this stuff works or how to apply it to you in your life, that's what I'm here for. My mission is to reveal these, which they aren't really secrets. It's just steps that a lot of people, a lot of PR people, marketing people, entrepreneurs in the know, they're using them and they're having massive success. So what sets apart those people from you? Well, I'll tell you. They have a PR strategy. So you don't need a communications degree or a publicist to get featured in the media. So, as an award-winning publicist that's been doing this for over 2 decades, I've been helping other people just like you get their own results in magazines, on TV, on podcasts, online, and blogs, and, everywhere. So I've helped, my clients get into places with features and outlets like the New York Times, LA Times, Today Show, Vogue, USA Today, Vanity Fair, countless more. And for example, every year I do PR for the Beverly Hills Film Festival. And we get easily over 500 million household media impressions from the PR work that I do for them. So, it's no accident that the festival is going into its 20th year of success. That's not a coincidence that they've been able to get that massive kind of media exposure and also continue to run a successful event. So the big thing is that now I'm, showing you how to do this for yourself. And like I said, there's no big secret behind what I do. You don't need inside contacts or connections. A lot of people think, oh, it's all about contacts and connections. Well, yes, those help, but it's about relationships, and we build those. I don't always have, even though I've been doing this a long time, I don't always have the relationships if I'm pitching or reaching out to someone I've never contacted before. So I have to build that relationship. So it's knowing how to approach people, how to build the relationships, who to contact. So you don't have to pay a PR agency a fortune to get the results, because I'm showing people this formula in my system, and they're doing it for themselves. And the press is always looking for great stories and, great content. And I'm telling you, you have a story, a product, a service, or talent that they will cover. If you're listening, there is a reason that you're listening to this right now. And, this is about getting you confidently out there. And that's where the flip side comes in of my, background in the healing arts and personal development. And that's where I help people when they are stepping into the spotlight, all the things that come up. So the mindset and alignment work that we also have to do to overcome our limiting beliefs, our self-doubts, And I know this because I've seen it happen a million times, and I also go through it myself. I mean, the fact that I'm here today talking to you in a solo episode, you guys, the struggle is real. I mean, I have resisted doing this to the point where we're down to the wire on this episode, and I just said I have to sit down and just do this. But I still get intimidated about putting myself out there. So it's a real thing, and we all go through it, and it's a human thing. So don't beat yourself up if you do have any of that stuff coming up, because that just means you're a human being. Congratulations. So, I've seen my clients, students, members all boost their businesses, their profiles with the power of the media by implementing my system, my formula. And, like I said, I've used it to boost my own profile, my own client base. So it's essentially, if you want to look at PR this way, it's a free way to grow your audience, your client roster, your email list, or your social following, and so much more, whether you're looking for investors or sponsors. And warning, it can be really easy, addictive, and fun. And maybe sometimes you have challenges, and sometimes you can knock your head against the wall. But once you start getting those results, it's pretty addictive. So even in my own community, I mean, we'll use Maria as an example. Her first pitch ever to a national women's magazine, she got it, and she got a spread. And this was through my inner circle, and she followed my coaching, and she landed it and ended up with a full client slate after that. I couldn't even get her on a meeting because she was too busy. She said her client slate was so busy, she didn't have time to talk. So, I mean, that's a good problem to have. That's the problem we want everybody to be having, is to have such a full slate that it's a good problem to have. So someone else you've heard about this season on the show, Holly Dowling, who we had a wonderful conversation with, she became a go-to source for a reporter at Fast Company magazine and regularly appears in the magazine. And she's also now booked 2 years out for paid speaking gigs. Karen, who's one of our spotlight experts, incredible speaking coach and consultant, she just became the go-to body language expert for Cosmopolitan magazine, and she is filling her high-ticket programs and raising her prices. Someone like Jody, she was banging her head against the wall a bit, trying to land some press. She'd had some great press in the past, but she was hitting some roadblocks. And we did some deep diving into her mindset and alignment. And with that and my system, she suddenly broke through that wall and was getting featured in a bunch of her industry trade magazines, and also landed a feature in a national women's magazine. So the list goes on and on. I could give all these types of examples all day long. If you're wanting to be featured in your favorite media outlets, that is a great place to start. So you've heard me talk about it many times in the beginning of the show, throughout the season, at the end of the show, but I do have a free masterclass, a PR masterclass. It's called the Shine Strategy Masterclass, and you can go to shineinsiders.com to check that out. I hope you'll join me over there so we can dig even deeper into this stuff, and I can really help you understand how it can work for you in your business. And something else I was thinking of doing was rehashing the season and talking about all the episodes and all the takeaways. But you guys, I think we ended up here with, this is our 28th episode. We had an intro episode plus 28 episodes. I just want you to go back and listen to them and get your own takeaways, because firstly, it's hard for me to pick and choose amongst them all because there were so many incredible guests and moments and strategies and inspirational stories and quotes and takeaways. And it was just an honor to have such an incredible roster of people appearing on this show for the first season. I will give a shout out to Christopher Witecki. He, at this point, the date of this recording, he is our most downloaded episode. He gave us some shout outs on his very popular YouTube show, and his audience really showed up to listen to his episode. So we so appreciate Chris doing that, sharing the Shine strategy with his viewers, and it is an awesome episode. So check it out if you're curious about kind of what's happening in the world with mass consciousness and what's going to be coming up for the new year. So again, it's really hard for me to pick any of my favorite actual episodes or guests because everyone was so incredible, and it's kind of like you can't pick, a favorite kid because it's just not fair to the other kids, and they're all awesome. So I would say I was very honored and proud to launch with an Oscar winner and Nick Vallelonga from Green Book. That was kind of a coup because he just was not doing press or interviews anymore. He was very burnt out after winning the Oscars and going through a lot of the press gauntlet and actually having a somewhat negative experience. But, I met him, I asked him, I was persistent and kept at him, and he did it. And he enjoyed the experience. He was very grateful. And it was an honor to have that conversation with him about the making of Green Book and the important messages about breaking the racial divide. And launching also with Marianne Williamson, who is definitely an author idol of mine. She's still out there in the presidential mix. She hasn't been in the recent debates, but she's out there with getting her message wide and far in terms of the things that really need to happen for us to evolve and make it through this really challenging time we're having in our country. She actually has some really wonderful insight and plans and strategies on what this country needs to be doing to come together and essentially heal this divide that we're having as a country. Another one, that was, wow, that took some of my own PR magic to make that one happen. Following up, getting to the right person, talking to the right person, being persistent about that interview for a couple months and believing it was happening, even though there were many times it seemed like it wasn't going to happen, and just not giving up. So I think, it was really using all the skills I teach to my community, which is knowing how to ask the right person for what you want, enroll them in your vision, and being persistent, not giving up, and taking that act of faith, moving forward, knowing that it's happening. And, just connecting with people like Bob Saget, who definitely did not have to do my show. I mean, when I booked some of these people, you guys, the show hadn't even launched, had no metrics. There was nothing for them to hear to know if it was worth them doing the show. But because of the way I asked, because of the way I talked to them and enrolled them in the vision for the show, they did it. And I had a lot of my guests tell me, we don't normally do this. I don't normally do this. So that was definitely, I think, a testament to the fact that there is an art and a skill and a bit of a science to how you pitch people. And that's the kind of stuff that I teach my students and members in my community. So with all that being said, it was an amazing season. So much wisdom was shared, so much inspiration, so many stories from Lila Javon, a 3-time cancer survivor, to Alina Z's stories around miracles and healthy eating, Matt Kahn and his love revolution and how we're creating heaven on earth, the brilliant Kathy Heller. Oh my gosh, getting her was another one of those big ones where I just, basically went in blind, but she did it. And, it was, again, the way that I asked that she said that was why she did it. And the takeaway with her, I would say, was, what's still something I'm doing every day, which is doing it with the fear. You just have to put one foot in front of the other, even when you're intimidated or scared about doing something, putting yourself out there. Just keep moving forward, you guys. You can do it. If I can do it, you can do it. And that was, I think, something else Alina Z said. Ron, our recent episode on holistic wealth and how to have it all. And he really believes that you can have it all and from a higher consciousness place. Oh, Satori Prime. Oh my gosh. Guy and Elon Ferdman. That was amazing. Their exercise and how we can heal things through our body and not get attached to the emotions that are moving their way through our body. And Dr. Mao, 38th generation Chinese medicine doctor. He had some great tips and wisdom about how to be healthy and prevent cancer. And I just said I wasn't going to talk about all my takeaways, but now as I'm looking at my list of guests here, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm just kind of in shock at how incredible our season was. Rob Dial, Jeffrey Shaw. Oh my gosh, my other episode on losing my dad, that took a lot of kind of unexpected digging deep within myself to do that, because I wasn't sure if I wanted to do that, to get that personal and share some things that I haven't really shared with people before. So I don't know, you guys. You have all of these episodes. You can always go to podcast.theshinestrategy.com, the main site there for the podcast, or prstars.net will link you there, and listen to them all. They're on all the major platforms. Apple Podcasts is the place to do the reviews if you can, because that's where they count the most. I guess that's it for today. I mean, we're heading into a new year. I'm really excited. I feel like this is such a huge turning point. My own, career path and trajectory has shifted. Doing the podcast has been a part of that too. I'm now moving into speaking at live events, which I don't think I could have done before doing the podcast. This has definitely helped me step into that direction. And it's really helped me kind of hone in on my own marketing. And as I've learned, I always say, like, your people will tell you what they want from you and what they need from you. So the more I listen to the feedback, the more I'm able to craft my marketing and PR in a way that speaks to people. So hopefully today's episode gives you a little more insight and understanding into what we do when it comes to PR. And, I wanted to just make sure, because, I always say in the intro that this is about helping you go from local to global. And I want to make sure you guys really get that from this show. So hopefully you're all getting some awesome takeaways from these episodes. I've had lovely feedback from so many people that I think honestly were surprised when they listened to the show. They actually sounded like, oh, wow, it was actually pretty good. Because I think, they don't know. Like, I'm not an entertainer and I'm not a celebrity, and, it could have been a big old bomb, but I think we did all right. I think hopefully our 5-star rating is a testament to that. So, all right, well, I'm going to sign off here, you guys. I'm really excited for the new year. I hope you are too. Work on setting your theme of the year. I don't do resolutions, I do themes. We were talking about this in my community recently. I think resolutions have a bit of a stigma. They're easy to create disappointment and then a feeling of shame or guilt when people drop them or don't follow through on them. But if you create an intention of a theme for your year, that feels a lot better. So this year mine was growth. The year before was create. And I created a lot. My new online PR Stars programs. And then this year I grew my community. I launched the podcast. I think that also elevated my own profile and awareness out there in the world. The real testament is when people start coming to you because they heard about you. And that did happen recently with my alumni magazine. They approached me because they heard about the podcast and what I was doing with PR and sort of changing the stigma around PR. And they featured me in the magazine. And I think one of the other featurettes they did was on another alumnus that was doing some work with NASA. So I have to say I was very flattered and shocked and surprised at that. But it was also very exciting. And, that's when I always tell my clients, that's the turning point. In the beginning of your PR journey, you're doing a lot of proactive work. And when you get to the point where people are contacting you and coming to you, that's when you've hit like the turning point of, you've really done a good job at your PR, getting it out there, getting yourself out there, and the world is listening. And they're coming to you, looking to you, because they know who you are, what you're doing, and they want some of that. They resonate with it. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. I hope you all are having an awesome, awesome holiday season. And with that being said, It's your Shine strategist, Heather Burgett, signing off.
Thank you so much for joining us today for the Shine Strategy Podcast. I invite you to join me at shineinsiders.com for a free masterclass where you can get more inspiration and strategies to get visible and change the world. Your voice matters. Please subscribe, rate, and share this show so we can continue to grow on this journey together. Until the next one, it's Heather Burgett, your Shine strategist, signing off.